Hey there, it's Mazzy. This is Mazzy's mix number 8. Coming from Bezos Balls, Amazon's world headquarters in Seattle, Washington. Let's take a look here. Those are some big balls, right? Yep, this is Mazzy's mix number 8, where I mix things up and I show some new music, maybe some new artwork, little discussions, and a whole number of things, including reading some comments. I only have one comment, which I'll lead it off in a minute, but you're going to hear my response and my little description of the new George Harrison All Things Path 50th anniversary issues. There's been several videos I've seen and comments, and people's heads are exploding in some level. And I just want to say, get a grip, get a friggin' grip. So, Jesus Christ, amazing how, people use these headlines and these, attention grabbers to get people just to, the outrage. Oh, the outrage. I'm sending all my shit back. I'm never gonna, We'll get to that in a little bit. So my take on it, just one man's opinion. But I think I'm gonna talk about science, and music. But first, I'll read one comment I got recently. And Steinbaum BB writes, another potty mouth. Take it into your bathroom and flush it. Comment on this with your own potty mouth followers. Yep, typical American low class. You disgrace the audio community. Yeah, they're too busy worrying about the one click on a spec on their $200 vinyl pressings and 100 jazz clear coated vinyl pressings and carbon-free vinyl pressings, and I'm offending them. So anyway, so that I get what he's saying. He doesn't want me to say fuck, and I understand that. So first of all, I'm really proud. I'm taping this in the city I live in Seattle, Washington, on the left coast of America, and we just happen to be a blue state. And today, and this is being taped on, I believe, the 10th of June in 2021, Seattle became the first major American city where 70% of our population has been fully vaccinated. So I applaud the city of Seattle, the organization of the vaccine program and the pandemic, and the government here that helped collectively, working with a group of people and volunteers and medical facilities and pharmaceutical companies and just all the right, combination of things to get us 70% vaccinated. Okay, let's talk about science a little bit. This headline just aroused me. Can you see this? For those of you who can't read, maybe haven't finished any kind of a 6th grade education, it says a doctor turned conspiracy theorist falsely claimed at an Ohio hearing that the COVID-19 vaccine will turn you into a magnet. And this is a conversation she had in front of the Ohio State House this past week. So I've gotten both my vaccines. I think the last one I got over 6 weeks ago. And I thought we'd try this out. I got it on my left arm here, right near my copyright 1954 tattoo. Okay, let's start small. Let's start with a paper clip. Maybe I better get up a little bit here, so if you'll bear with me. Maybe just it wasn't close enough. Let's try something a little more. Maybe one of these clips will work. See, it's metal. Nope. Maybe it needs to be on my chest. Nope. Let's see. How about this Balmorhea, the Wind metal container, which has a Balmoral branded incense. Shit. No? How about this kiddush cup from my bar mitzvah? That might not even be magnetic. Okay. How about a 1972 McGovern Shriver button? This certainly would be magnetic. No, because that doesn't work. Or a Smiths button from the Smiths. I mean, Morrissey's a wanker enough that this would probably like stick right to me. No. Oops. What about this Apollo 17th, 40th anniversary official commemorative? I don't know if this is magnetic. Paul Baraka P-Dub had sent me this once, but it's in plastic. This is for Apollo, kind of a commemorative button, which is kind of cool. But it's in plastic, but anyway. So I guess I'm not magnetic yet. Maybe you have to be in Ohio. Maybe you have to be in a red state to become a Magneto and Titanium Man. There's a Beatle connection right there. All right. So, okay, the next story. Let's go to Texas. Representative Gohmert is a GOP representative in Texas. Representative Texas, Lunar New Deal. GOP Rep Gohmert suggests altering I can't believe I'm reading this. He's serious. In an interview, he said the Texas congressman asked the Weather Service and the U.S. Forest Service if they could change the course of the moon's orbit or the Earth's orbit around the sun to combat climate change. He suggests altering the moon's orbit to combat climate change. Okay, I thought George Harrison and the Harrison estate are pissing some people off today. So, weird shit, right? Weird shit. So, today it was announced that the fabulous George Harrison album, All Things Must Pass, delayed a year, probably because of the pandemic. The 50th anniversary edition is coming out. And it is arguably the greatest Beatles solo album, All Things Must Pass from 1970. 3-record set, 2 of all these great new songs co-produced by Phil Spector, and a 3rd jam session disc with a poster. It came in a box, and it was actually about $11, $12, $13 when it first came out retail back in 1970. So figure 50 years, what was, $12 50 years ago, 50 years later. I'm not figuring that out, but I'm sure it's, 150 or more at this point in terms of inflation. Well, there's a shitstorm on the YouTube and the Beatle channels. Just people bitching and bitching and bitching because there's an Uber set, and the Uber set is $1,000. $1,000 fucking dollars? Are you kidding me? Now, granted, it's a big fucking Uber set. Look at that box. That's Danny Harrison, 5'7", so he's not a tall man, sitting on top of that pirate's booty chest from Frere Park. Frere Park is George Harrison's massive estate on Henley-on-Thames. Okay, $1,000. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna go through, there's 7 or 8 different options you can get. So it goes from $20 to $1,000. And if you order it through, in the United States, I'm sorry for you foreign buyers out there, you have to figure this out yourself. But United States, if you order it through UDiscover, which is the Universal Universal Music Group website, they're now having their 25% off summer sale. So there's a code there you can see. Now, having said that though, the 25% does not work for the Uber box, but it works for everything else. So the Uber box is that big box, and it has 8 LPs. It has 5 CDs. It has 2 books. It has tchotchkes of little gnomes and parts and pieces in that big massive box. So 8 LPs, 5 CDs, 2 books in a specially designed custom booty, pirate's booty box. Looks like a wine crate and everything. And that's $1,000. You can work it out later, and people are going to ask, are you getting it, Mazzy? Of course you are. Are you? I'll mention that at the end of this, if I am or not. So, $1,000 is a lot of money, granted. Those of you who've watched my channel know you can buy one fucking Miles Davis album for $100 right now, Kinda Blue, limited edition, 25,000 copies. $100 fucking dollars for one 70-year-old jazz album, almost 65-year-old, whatever it is, 60-year-old jazz album. But look at all that you can get for $1,000. It is a lot of money, and I get it. I hear people's heads exploding. I have a friend who I saw through another friend I'm getting rid of all my Danny Harrison stuff. George Harrison, Frere Park was never a money grubber. He was living in the material world, not living in the material world. Yada, 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Rama, Rama, and all that stuff, okay? I'll get into that in a minute too. But anyway, here are the other options. You can get 8 LPs for $200. This is before your discount. So you could probably get it for about $150, $160. 8 LPs. You can get 5 LPs for $89. You can get 3 colored LPs, colored kind of marbly, I think, for $76. A few of these things like the Uber and the colored vinyl, you have to get either through Universal or I believe the George Harrison site. So some of these discounts may not apply. There's different things about sales tax in your area and shipping and all that stuff. So, be vigilant and search. You can get 5 CDs for $150. Now, granted, I've heard some complaints because it looks like the CD box is like this small. Like, why not do the big box like the Lennon? But, still 5 CDs, $150. It's a lot. Maybe that's the overpriced. That's right in the middle there, and that's overpriced. And these are going to include the main album, remixed, some, they're compromising on the Spectre. They don't want to call it despectratization because that's kind of a catch-all term. I'm actually, and I've said this many times on my channel, I recently played the vinyl version of my original 1970, All Things Must Pass. It sounds fabulous. People are stuck in the crappy CD versions, but the vinyl version sounds fresh, even with Phil Spector, work with George Harrison on that. But they're doing and adjusting and bringing the vocals up, and we'll see. I haven't heard it yet. I've heard just a couple of outtakes, but we'll see. So that 5 CD at $150 seems to be a sweet spot, but again, you can get 25% off. There's a 3 CD version for $25, and there's a 2 CD version that has just the remixed main album and the jam album. So 3 LPs on 2 CDs. That's $20. $20. You can probably get 25% off that. Really? So you can spend $20 or $1,000 or less than that. So there are options, people, and there's no more music on the big set. Now, again, those of you who follow my channel, I love artwork. I love packaging and artwork, and I have ordered the Uber set. Having said that, because I bought things over the years through Universal, there was a VIP code that I'd got a while ago for 30% off. So basically I got almost $300 off that. $700 plus shipping and everything is still a lot of money for something like this. But let me go back 40 years or so to 1980. When people say George Harrison was never this, and George Harrison never screwed his audience and never charged and this, just sit on it, okay? Sit on that pirate booty trunk in the middle of Frere Park. 1980, George Harrison wrote this book that originally only came out as a Genesis edition. Genesis is a UK publisher that did really limited edition leather-bound books like Mutiny on the Bounty and and Moby Dick and hand etched and inserted things like this and tipped in pieces of photographs and all kinds of stuff. Well, Brian Roylance, who was the publisher, befriended George Harrison, and this was the first Genesis book. At the time, this was I'm thinking in the high 200s or low $300, a shitload of money in 1980, 1981. I bought this book. Now, granted, some will say, yeah, but it was signed by George Harrison. Well, of course, he was alive then. So, of course, it was signed by George Harrison. I think there were about 2,000, let's see how many copies. 2,000 signed copies. I have a number 196, signed by George Harrison. So this was $300 or so. Again, I'm just trying, from memory, I'm estimating. Today, this book now resells anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. It's a collector's item. Obviously, George is dead, but I remember people were pissed. They eventually put out a regular trade edition for about $20. You know, a different edition, not leather bound, not special edition, not gold edged, not signed, not with all these special inset, you know, doodads and leather bound and a slipcase. So people were pissed off, but George Harrison did this 40 years ago, 41 years ago. He also did 2 more volumes. Songs of George Harrison, Volume 1, and Songs of George Harrison, Volume 2. Did it rip people off? These were about $300. You know, something like that, $350. Again, signed by George Harrison. I have the same number. They're both signed. It also has, what does it have in here? It has, I forgot. I haven't opened this in a while. It has a 45, Songs by George Harrison, some demo versions. Life Itself, Hottest Going in Town, Tears of the World, Harry's on Tour Express from the 1974 Washington, D.C. concert from the Dark Horse Tour. So he's done limited edition things. Now those, as I recall, those lyric books never came out any other option. So these fucking people bitching about George Harrison never doing this, and he would not ever, you know, screw Olivia and screw Danny. They're gouging their fans. You have options to get all this music. If you don't want the artwork, don't fucking buy it. And you can buy something for $20, $150, $200, or $1,000. And you can get discounts. There are some discounts, actually. I think there was a UDiscover discount on one of the other sites. So go to the Hoffman forums, go to other places, read about this, and, you know, be clever, and you probably get a deal, somewhat. Now, again, I don't know the quantity. I've heard rumors that the Uber box is 1,500 copies, but I don't know that for a fact. So that's all I want to say about that. You know, as William Shatner, the great, you know, historian of our time once said, get a life. Okay. Only one record I'm going to show this time. So this is a short one. That was probably my biggest rant. But this is an amazing record. I'm a big fan of John Hyatt. Goes back to hanging in an observatory, his 70s, early 70s records on Columbia Records. He's been through labels, so many labels actually, Geffen Records and MCA Records, and to me one of the greatest American songwriters who lives outside of Nashville, I believe. In 1976 or 77, he lived in my neighborhood and would come in the record store that I worked at in San Francisco. He lived there no more than a year. So I got to meet him way back. He wouldn't remember. He probably was just living there a short time, but we'd sell him records. What's great about this record, it's on New West Records. He's been with this label for some years now. This is with the great Jerry Douglas, the great Dobo player. And his band backs it up. The recording is spectacular. Recorded it at RCA's Nashville studio, I believe. And it sounds amazing. Country, wonderful songwriting, really well recorded. I think it's his best record in a long time. And it just has a great sound to it. Really easy on the soul. Beautiful Americana, rootsy music. Fantastic record. A highlight. I recommend. This is going to be in my top 10 list of records this year. So, Jerry Douglas Band backing the fabulous John Hyatt. And then just two books. One Beatle book. This came out late last year and I just got it. Dream Lovers, photographs of Brian Hamill. Took all these wonderful pictures. I collect books, as you may have realized, by the Genesis books. Obviously, the Madison Square Garden concert in August 1972. Greenwich Village. Just a photography book and beautiful small printed book. I highly recommend this book. If you're into, obviously, John Lennon, or if you're a photography buff, I've showed a lot of photography and music-related photo books on my channel. So this is something that's really wonderful. Again, it is photographs of Brian Hamill, Dream Lovers, John and Yoko in New York City. And this is a book, my buddy Jazz Shit Brooks, those of you who follow my channel know Jazz Shit Brooks. Aperture is a photography organization that preserves and archives photography, has shows, publishes books and art. And they did this book that came out, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. And I know it's been discounted, it's been around. I see it on Amazon, it's about $25 now. But I don't know if it's still on sale, but Aperture had this sale. This was half price. It's a $30 book. I got it for 14 something and shipping probably. So I think it probably paid about $16, $17 tops. And this is photography and the art of the album cover. There are a million books on photography and album covers. This has some stories of certain styles of photography, as well as some examples, and talks about several of the photographers on more of the artsy side. It's not just rock and roll, it's not just jazz, it's not just blues, but it's really a nice, really thick volume. Oh, that's really, Bjork. There's some French and European covers that I've never seen that are just amazing. Kraftwerk, like this. It's called Total Records. Google Aperture Books, go to their website in the States. I don't know if the $14 or $14.95 price, but it's really a great archive. And again, I'm a book collector. I'm an art collector. It's another reason that I support things like those limited edition Uber sets that are not for everyone. Everyone doesn't have to buy them. How hard is that to figure out? But this cash grab fucking bullshit is like, it gets old. Every time there's something new and there's an expensive version of something, people go cash grab that, you know. And some people say, well, why did they put this stuff out again? I don't need this. I've had the record since 1970. Of course we have. And if you are happy with your original All Things Must Pass album or CDs, you don't need a remix version. But look there are a lot of new people into vinyl now. A lot of people who sold their collections that are my age and older that might want to get this record and don't need the Uber set. There's a lot of young people who have heard that this George Harrison record is the best Beatles solo album. They can buy any level. They're into vinyl. Vinyl sell now. For the last year and a half, no artists have been able to tour. So think about this. Having these physical products does kind of get money into the hands of the record companies, the labels, and, you know, people saying, oh, George Harrison, the family's rich, they don't need all our money, you know, cash grab, greedy bastards. You know, get a life again. Think about it. All the writers, the photographers, editors, printers, mastering engineers, pressing plants, people work for Universal, people work for Apple, people work for George Harrison Estate, people that work in retail at record stores. All these people have jobs making these super and duper and cheapo records. It's not like George Harrison Estate is getting $1,000 for that fucking box. You have no idea what it takes to create these things. Collating, pressing, building those boxes. You have to get licensing and lyrics, and even though George Harrison wrote these songs, every added song, every song and version, publishing money goes in the kitty to the publishing company and the record companies and so on down the line. People just, they look at a price and they don't get it and they say, oh, that's only worth $200. It's a fucking box. It ain't just a fucking box. So never, buy what you can't afford or you don't feel comfortable with. And I get that. And it's not for everybody, but there are certain levels of all kinds of things, whether they're books, whether they're records, whether they're cars, whether it's beer or wine or t-shirts or hats, that are premium products, and there are cheap options for everyone. So you really have a choice. So that's my rant. That's Mazzy's mix number 8, which is kind of more of a rant than I thought it would be. But, I'm just saying, enjoy the music. And you can just listen to it on YouTube or on Spotify or wherever you pay $12 a month for millions of songs so the artists get nothing. Mazzy loves you. Boy.